Welcome back. Recently, David Nekrutman, the Executive Director of the Center for Jewish Christian Understanding and Cooperation, shared a candid discussion with us about the beginning of his experiences with the Christian world as an Orthodox Jew.
So at the last moment, I am told to go to a church, and this would be like the first time going to a church in my entire life. I grew up in the yeshiva world thinking, and actually was taught, that walking into a church is a violation of idol worship and nothing is good about Christianity. So here I am, my boss is asking me to go, and I don't know what to say, but I do say yes, and the guilty feelings descend upon my shoulders. I call up 1-800-RABBI legal loophole and to find out if I can go, and my mentor, my rabbi, and later to become my mentor in Jewish Christian relations, Rabbi Dr. Gerald Meister, says, you can go, you're like in the Israeli army. You're given a command, no questions asked. And I said, thank you for the dispensation, Rabbi. I'll be going to church tonight. I walk into this church, and pretty much it looks like the space that we are right now in is very big. There is a cross, but everywhere there are Israeli flags. Everyone is just singing Israeli songs and loving Israel. And I am in a Twilight Zone moment. Like, who are you? Where did you come from? And I was just simply there to represent the government line, but apparently the success of that event led to Monday morning to be called into my boss's office and saying, you are now in charge of Christian affairs. So I wasn't sure if I wanted the portfolio, so I always say in Jewish terms I needed to think about it, in Christian terms I needed to pray about it, and I speak with my rabbi, and he said to me, you have a sacred responsibility in front of you. You can do this from a Kodak moment and get your picture in the paper with some of the major players in the evangelical community. Or you can do this from covenant, meaning that we are both covenanted people. We believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We both believe our common scripture is divine, and we believe in that ultimate moment where the world will acknowledge who the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is. I would have to say when I first walked into a charismatic service, I was definitely scared, especially seeing people lift up their hands and literally no liturgy whatsoever. Everything was spontaneous, and that was very uncomfortable coming from a background where you open up a prayer book, turn to page such and such, and we'll be reciting the following prayer. And as I was getting involved in the relationships of people who are doing non-liturgical prayers and more spontaneous prayers, I got to understand and investigate what was the history of Judaism in relation to prayer. You know, the prayer book that we have is a development over time. The prayers were inserted based upon what was basically accepted within the Jewish community to read. So there was a certain thing that someone came up with a prayer, and then eventually the community accepted it. Or certain psalms were more emphasized than others to be part of it. So as you learn, that we did have spontaneous prayer, and eventually we became more liturgical. But I began to appreciate the spontaneity in prayer, and that led to more of a better prayer life for me. So that way I can say, spiritually, that's impacted me. Another thing that's impacted me in my relationships is that the simplicity of faith, especially when it came to Israel. I read the Bible, and therefore I have no other choice but to stand with you and stand with the Jewish people. Sometimes we, as Jews, over-intellectualize things a lot. And to go ahead and hear somebody do it because of faith was very refreshing. And that has impacted me of going along with the program, as they say.